social media.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's ruining kids. I think it's ruining the youth today.
Yeah. So,
how do you feel about that as a libertarian?
yeah. So, I mean, I don't think there's much the government can do about it. Just because if you think about, not only has it changed us in an individual way, having a profile and being able to talk to people and connect and stuff like that, but it's also changed politics fundamentally.
Oh, yeah.
Politics and just media in general. So let's go back. The first mass media was the printing press. And that in the printing press allowed us to disseminate ideas, books, and all that stuff. And so you had the people that controlled that were the people who owned the presses, and those press owners were able to kind of moderate in a way. And I know the government regulates print media. And so then after that, you had radio. And again, that's the same thing. Not many people had radio. And then with radio, you have the electromagnetic signal, and there's only a limited amount. So they have the FTC.
Yeah.
And so
Trade Commission.
Or no, not trade, the FCC, Communications
Federal
Commission.
Communications
So
Commission,
they kind
yes.
of took over, and they're able to monitor that. Then TV happened, and again, the same thing happened. So when you got some crazy person, or like a crazy person that has really wacky ideas, can't just go on the radio and start spouting crap, because if you start transmitting over the radio waves, you're going to get shut down real quick and slapped with a ton of fines and jail. And the same thing with television. You can't just do that. Well, now you have social media that anybody can create a profile. Anybody could say anything they want, and they can reach millions of people. This has never happened before.
And with no consequences almost, too.
Yep, and almost with no consequences. And I think that's the problem, is that's how the crazy people, they're able to campaign now without using party money in a lot of ways, just because they can create their own following, they can create their own advertisements, disseminate ideas without having to rely on millions of dollars from the party to help them subsidize a campaign. And so that's where these crazy right-wing politicians have been able to get a foothold in the party and kind of ruin the GOP, is use social media in a way that they don't need they're not bound by the party to do what they want because they said something stupid or whatever, and stuff like that. So
because there's enough crazies out there that can hear what you say and will still follow you.
Mm-hmm. And vote for you, and
yeah. I'm worried about it just for what I've said before. One of the top things that why I want to be a representative is because I am truly worried about the youth today, and I see all these kids that are, they're overweight, they're depressed, they're packed with anxiety, they're not doing good in school, they get no exercise, they're not a part of anything, and why is that? Well, they're sitting on their phones all day like this, just endlessly, forever scrolling, and they get involved with, all this shit talking, and this person said that, well, I have to respond to this, meh, and we're all guilty of it. I was telling you how I responded to some people who I don't even think are in the district on Facebook that are just, and but I think about, man, if I was a kid and this was happening, thank God it wasn't around when I was young, because man, this is bad, and
It is.
it's like ruining kids, especially. I mean, it's got an effect on boys for sure, but it seems like way, way, way more so on young women. And I'm really worried about it. But again, is that something just like abortion? How I feel, I'm like, I may be pro-life, but is it my job if I'm a am I supposed to be in the room with you and your family while you're making that decision? No, I don't think it's my business. Does the government have to get involved in the social media thing? What does that even look like? I have no idea. I think at the end of the day, I don't know. My best guess would be it's probably going to just have to come down to parenting.
Yeah, I think that's the only way that it can. Well, no matter what, it's going to have to start with parenting, because it's going to have to. And it's easy to say it just because my daughter's 2.5, and I can't imagine what she's going to be like when she's 12, 13, 14 years old. But giving your child a sense of confidence and I can't imagine what that's going to look like, but it's going to have to start with parenting, giving them a sense of self-worth. And then after that, it's going to come down to our schools. And I couldn't imagine when, you look about the same age as me. So, I mean, could you imagine a class in middle school of, how to tell fake information from real, something like that.
Oh, God.
I mean, it's going to have to start with, okay, how do you fact check, these incredible, the claims that you read on the internet every day.
Yeah. Well, that kind of feeds into my kind of final point on the social media thing, which is, and I've talked about this before with people, but I want to know more people's opinions. I wasn't allowed a cell phone in school, and I think one of the reasons why kids are so distracted and aren't doing good in school is because they are glued to their phones all day, and they have this kind of TikTok brain, this very, very short attention span, where unless they're on their phones, if you took a phone away from a kid and they have to pay attention in class, oh my God, that's terrible. I don't know. I'd like to know your thoughts on how do you feel about cell phones in school? Because I am all for them not being allowed in school.
Yeah, I mean, yes. I'd say it's, leave it up to the superintendent and stuff to create their own school. But yeah, I mean, again, I'm gonna date myself here, but we didn't have laptops and tablets in school when I was, we had our book and our notebook, the book of the subject, textbooks,
book bag,
and in a book bag. No one had a laptop or anything like that. So, I think right now, from what I have seen, is kids now carry around their laptop and a power cord, and bring that to class every day.
That's it.
And that should be, that should be enough, along with whatever textbooks or notebooks they need.
Well, I don't think that they carry textbooks even anymore. I think it's all, do they carry textbooks?
No, if they have to use a textbook, it's kept in the classroom.
It's what?
Kept in the classroom.
Oh, they keep them in the classroom?
They keep them in the classroom.
If there is a textbook. But
My God, my backpack, I went through like 2 of them a quarter because my backpack was like this wide, full of textbooks, and my zippers would start to break down.
It
And
seemed like your next class was on the opposite side of the school and you couldn't go to your locker.
yeah, and you had to walk uphill both ways in the snow
Yep.
with all those books on your. No, I'm kidding, but yeah, because I've heard that, and I'm not saying this is Shakopee specific. In fact, I would like to say that I think Shakopee actually has very good schools. I think they do. I think they really do. I mean, they're teaching kids real good stuff. And the Shakopee School District, I genuinely believe are a great school district. And I'm that's kind of, I almost kind of take pride in that, just because I'm a member of Shock. Not that I have anything to do with it. I coach basketball, but that's not. I do think there are good teachers and there are good people running those schools, and they are teaching kids good things. I'm talking more on an aggregate level, across the board type of thing. But I've heard that a lot of high schools, a lot of schools, kids are allowed phones in schools. Not only like, it's not keep it in your locker and talk in between class. You can have it on you in class and be talking on it while the teacher's trying to teach you something. If Becky or Johnny said this or that, and you're in a big group text, and if you're a kid, you don't want to miss that. You want to be kind of a part of the conversation. And I understand, I was a kid, but also you're not going to learn anything in class. I mean, I remember when I was young, my sister told me one time I was having some issues with math, and my sister said to me, she's like, just pay attention. That's all you have to do. If you daydream for 5 seconds while the teacher's trying to teach you something, you're gonna lose it all. Just try. And I did. I tried it the next day. I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna pay attention. And I did. I listened the entire time. And before you knew it, I'm going around teaching these other kids, not teaching, but showing my classmates how to do this equation. That was never me. And that was it. I'm like, oh my God, it's that easy? It's that easy?
Yep.
Hall? Her name was Holly. I was like, all I have to do is pay attention? Oh my God. Well, if you got a cell phone in class and you're going back and forth with people the entire time and the teacher can't do anything about it, how are you going to learn anything? You can't pay attention.
Well, kind of my libertarian coming out, it's I think every school has their own atmosphere, and even down to the classroom, because I can understand that if they have a laptop. Well, any case, it should be up to the teacher to manage their own class and stuff like that. And actually, when I was in, I got my first cell phone when I was a freshman. And that was a flip phone with two-tone screen. All you could do is text. And you only had like 200 texts a month. And so, that's, even then, yes, the teacher were honest. If I see your cell phone, you have to put it up in the front where the whiteboard is and put it on the little ledge there. So having that, I think teachers and principals should have enough leeway to say what they want in their school.
I agree. And the first phone I got too was a Nokia. It was like one of those things. And same thing. It was a two-tone screen, and you had to hit S. You had to hit the button several times to try and send a text or whatever. But
tell a kid what T9 is now.
Yeah, T9. Yeah, T9. Yeah. You couldn't surf the web on it or anything like that. But also, I think a lot of teachers don't necessarily have the power, or they're not all of them, of course, but many of them, if they say to a kid, hey, get off your phone, and the kid just says, okay, and the kid will just keep going. What's the teacher to do? Why not remove that entirely? Right?
Yeah.
I mean, I get the libertarian point of it. Let the teacher run the classroom as they see fit, but some things are out of their control. If you got a kid in there that's just not paying attention, what's the teacher going to do? Go spank them? No, they're not going to do anything. They can't do anything. Let's just remove that entirely. And then some parents will say, yeah, but I want to be able to get a hold of my kid. Or the kid will say, hey, I have bad anxiety when I'm not around my cell phone. Well, okay, you know what? Parent, you can't be in control of everything all the time. You're never going to be. And also, kid, hey, get used to it. Get used to anxiety. Get used to not having everything you want. Because if you think this is how it works, when you get out into the world, it's our fault that we haven't taught you that. Because you're going to realize it. Things are not as they seem.
Yep.
You're going to have some problems. You're going to have anxiety, and you're going to need to learn some resilience. But I promise you, you will be better for this. Get off your phone for 6 hours. You'll be better. pay attention in class. Make some friends. Learn how to communicate with your peers, with your friends, face to face. Not like this all day. Learn some interpersonal communication skills. You know, I don't know. I'm really kind of for that, but
Yeah.
I don't know. Again, it's just, does the government need to get involved? I'm not saying that's the case, but I wish the schools would take a harder look at it, because if you want to educate kids, then you have to have their attention. And another thing, especially in high school and like, you know, later middle school, when kids are going through all their hormonal, everything is just, you know, you got to get that energy out of them.
Yep.
Put them out and do recess. Period 1. First period, do a recess. Get everyone out. Go play kickball. Go play baseball. Go whatever. Get that energy out of them. Then bring them in class while they're kind of tired, so they can sit down and pay attention. You know, I mean, we're basically animals. We're not meant to sit down in front of computer screens all day. We're just not. And we're meant to hunt and gather and like build communities and build stuff. And to tell a kid that's 13 years old, oh, you can't sit there and pay attention in class, you need to be on drugs. I mean, come on, man. You know, I just think we're going about so many things the wrong way that why can't we just have a discussion about it? Not you and me. I mean, obviously, I mean, just as a whole, as a community. Why can't we just let's try something else?
Yeah. I mean,
Is that crazy?
The education system is set up the way it is because we like order, and we like to set a standard. And the way, I think, you know, what is it called? Is it like Montessori or something like that? Way of, I don't know, something, you know, there is a way of teaching kids that is not structured like a classroom, and paying attention is more of a free way of teaching. I can't think of it. I think it is Montessori, but in any case,
I've never heard of that.
there is a way to do that, but you know, we're talking on a national scale of having, you know, you'd have to fundamentally change the way education is, and it's not something that's going to happen overnight. But yeah, I agree.
You're right.
Like, you know,
I mean,
I had ADD or ADHD, whatever one it was, and it was hard for me to pay attention. But you know, realistically, in the end, it's not. You know, the grades you get in school are not determined by how successful you are.